Hey everyone, Random Randy here, coming to you from the Mom Cave. This is Yarn Talk, a weekly crochet and knitting podcast guaranteed to give you your recommended dose of fiber in 60 minutes or less. A lot less this week, which I will explain later. If you are concerned about how low your fiber intake is, you may want to consider subscribing to the channel so that more awesome projects like these can keep your hands and your heart full. So this is episode 54 of Yarn Talk, and I am going to get through this as quickly as possible because food poisoning, and I will leave it at that. It has not been a good Thursday for the Randy in the slightest, but things are looking up. I only have one finished object on hand. I have a bunch of things started and some things that are ongoing that I have made some progress on, so I'm going to show you that stuff. And I finally, to start off the finished objects, I have finished my Hangetsu Shawl. Yay! I didn't think I was ever going to get out from under all of the orders I have received in the last week. Like I said, not complaining. I will make it work. Whatever you got for me, universe, bring it on. I will find a way to make it work. Not complaining at all. But oh my goodness, so much stuff. So anyway, finally, just last night, finished my Hangetsu shawl, got the ends woven in. It is not blocked. I did finally get some things to block it with. I'm not sure if I'm going to block it with the boards or if I'm just going to throw it in the washing machine and the dryer. It's all acrylic, so that I think will probably be the better option for me at this juncture because I don't really have a lot of space to pin it out the way that I want to get the points to look the way that they should, so washing it in the machine will probably be the best option. So anyway, it turned out significantly large. I did this with DK weight yarn, and I don't know if I can even get it all in the shot, so I might, yeah, just barely. So this is not stretched completely to capacity, so some of the stitches open up when it is stretched, and it looks really, really nice. This is about my wingspan when it is stretched, and I'm 5'8", so it's a pretty heaping big shawl. But I did this with DK weight yarn and a J hook, which is a 6mm hook. And this yarn is the Magic Glitz yarn from Ice Yarns, and I looked on their website and they don't currently have this colorway, which is such a bummer because it's so pretty. But they do have a lot of other really nice ones with the Lurex in them. So see if I can get it close enough so you'll actually be able to see the sparkle. There we go. Oh, that shows it a lot better. So there are some really cool textures in here. And I did 4 repeats of the pattern repeat rows. And it turned out big enough that when I put it on, not only does it drape really well, but it actually comes down past my elbows in the back. And because it's a half circle shawl, you don't need to pin it or tie it. It just kind of does its thing. You can actually tuck the ends under your arms, so it's definitely not going anywhere. It's surprisingly warm too. When I was finishing it yesterday, I had it sitting in my lap and I almost fell asleep. So for it being DK weight yarn, it's pretty substantial. I think that if you used a bigger hook and thicker yarn like a worsted weight, you could probably get away with 3 pattern repeats. That's actually for the tutorial video, which I'm going to offer with the written pattern as a supplement to the paid material. I'm going to make the worsted weight one on camera because I considered starting another one, and I'm like, no, if you're going to do it, wait until you can sit down and just film the first whole pattern repeat rather than doing it and going, oh crap, and having to start another one. I just want to start all the things. All the things. Anyway, so it is very nice. I like it very, very much. And for the edging, I'm kind of a one-trick pony when it comes to edging right now. I looked at a bunch of different patterns and nothing really struck me, so I said, you know what, the heck with it. I'm just gonna go with the open shell that I use for pretty much everything. It's the edging that I use for my zero loveys and a bunch of other things. And it's very simple and it has a nice little point, which is why I said I'd kind of like to block it on the board, just so those points are super, super pronounced. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't really have the energy to do that right now. So this one, I have not decided yet if I want to keep this for me or if I want to sell it. It is very pretty, but as I said, I'm not a pink person. I know the quantity of pink in it is very low, and with all the other colors, it's passable, it's acceptable that it's pink because of all the other awesome autumnal colors in it, which I really, really like. I could wear fall color palette and neon color palettes all year long and I would be happy. I don't really need anything else. So there's that only finished object on hand. I also had to make another rosy wrap. That was the red glitter one that went out with some of the hand-dyed yarn. So now all I really have to do with the pattern for the Hangetsu Shawl is finish writing up the edging that I used, and I'm thinking of giving a few other edging options. Pretty much it's just based on the multiple of stitches. You can do pretty much whatever you want to with it, honestly. It's just the one I chose. So there's that, and I will be getting in touch with all of the people who volunteered to test in the next couple of days, sometime over the weekend. I'm gonna give everybody a month to get it done. Even though it's an easy enough pattern to remember and it does work up fairly quickly, but people have lives, people have children, people have jobs, they have other obligations that they need to fulfill. So yeah, I will be getting in touch with anybody who contacted me about that. I think there were about 8 or 10 people, which is a lot of people, but considering the fact that it was between Instagram, my Facebook group, and here on YouTube, 10 people really isn't that bad considering I'm at over 1,100 subscribers now, so whatever. So my first work in progress is the Down on the Farm playmat, which someone asked me to make for their daughter for Easter, so I've got a couple weeks to get it done, but I'm working on it. This is what it looks like. This is a free pattern on the Lion Brand website. I'm not using the exact colors that they tell you to, as you will see in a moment, but I'm working with what I have, and I think it's going to turn out pretty cool. And Terry from Yarn Joy did this before. But this lady saw it, and on Facebook somewhere somebody had posted it and asked me if I could make it, and I said, well, if there's a pattern, I can make it. Sometimes even if there isn't a pattern, I could probably make it, but it'll take me a little bit longer. So this is where I'm at now. I am finally done with the increases for the actual mat portion itself. And I used this variegated Hirschner's yarn for the sky because I didn't really have a solid blue that was sky colored that I liked. So using this and using the giant green 1 pound mill end that I got from Joann's, and I'm pretty sure from the texture of it, the way it feels, and just the way it works up, that this is actually Caron Simply Soft, which is really strange. But I got it in a mill end bag, and it was about probably $5, I think, when I got it. So that's that. That's all I've got so far. I would like to get the mat itself done over the weekend and then work on all the little extra bits over the next week. The little pig and the carrots and the duck and the little apples on the drawstring and stuff. I think it's going to turn out cool. So there's that one. The pattern for it is hugely, hugely long just because it has so many extra little fiddly pieces that go along with it. Not a very complicated pattern, but there's just lots of small parts. Lots of small parts. Oh, what else do I have? Got 3 more works in progress. 3 more current active works in progress. So this is a knitting one. I'm not gonna separate knitting because I do both. You either like knitting or you don't. It's not really a super big deal. But this is one of my socks that I'm working on knitting. It's just gonna be a tube sock. If I get super brave, I might do an afterthought heel, but the idea of cutting into stitches terrifies the daylights out of me. Anyway, so last time I showed this to you guys, I was down here. And this is just stockinette in the round at this point. I've gotten from here to here. It's probably about a couple hours worth of work, maybe 2 hours worth of knitting. And I have a little dragon wing charm as my round start marker. And I just did a knit 2 purl 2 rib on the portion for the cuff for about 1 inch. Not a lot. Eventually it'll be long enough for my giant feet. I think I figured out that it has to be probably 13 inches before I can start doing decreases for the toes. Because I have 9.5 to 10 feet. 11 if we're talking about boots that have a pointed toe, because I have wide feet too. There is that. And this yarn is Online Super Sock. It's actually a German yarn. I got it at our local yarn store forever ago. I liked it because it's Halloween colors. It's just that witchy potion green, orange, purple, and it's got white and black in it. Can't go wrong. There's that. Oh my goodness, children. So many messes have been made. I made the mistake of walking away from the camera for a few minutes and the kids got in here. Needless to say, it took me about 15 minutes to get everything set back up the way it's supposed to be so I could reach it all. Anyway, so next thing is another crochet. This is going to be a work in progress for a while, I think, because the mood has to kind of strike me to work on it. This past weekend, there was an unlimited free watch weekend on Craftsy. Apparently they have a subscription service now where you pay a couple of bucks a month and you can watch all of their videos as much as you want to, but I looked through everything, and aside from this one video series, I guess, that I watched through twice in that weekend, I didn't really see anything else that I couldn't live without, so I just didn't bother. Anyway, this is my Freeform Crochet project. Rather than starting off with a bunch of full balls or skeins of yarn, I went through a bunch of my scrap-ish balls of yarn in kind of coordinating colors, and I'm gonna go with it until I run out of yarn and have kind of a rectangular shape, because I'd really like to make it into a bag like she did in the class. I can't remember her name. Can't remember her name right now, but I will link to the class. I'll write it out here and I'll put the actual link in the description, because my brain today is no bueno. Anyhow, so right now I only have 3 scrumbles. Scrumbles are essentially portions of the finished piece in Freeform Crochet. So, show you this one first if I can get it to focus, because the light keeps getting all wonky outside the window. So this is the start. This actually has a heart in it that I made accidentally as an extra for my From Java with Love coffee cozy. And there's this one. And these have not been steamed yet, which, from my understanding in the class, the easiest way to get your Freeform Crochet to sync up when you start putting your pieces together is to steam it as constantly as possible to keep it flat. Because you want to have lots of texture on the front, but you want your back to be as flat as possible so that your stitches are all going to line up the way that they should. Anyway, so there's one. It's all whites, blacks, and pinks and grays. Here is the second one. And Freeform Crochet has a lot of ends, so that's something that you kind of need to work on as you go. And right now I have worked in all the ends that I can for this particular portion. And this one, you can't really tell very much in this one, can you? But there are like puff stitches here in this portion. There's puff stitches here that are sectioned off by a front post treble crochet that goes down into the row below it. This is the last one, and starting something off in a spiral, this was totally the first time I'd ever done it, and I actually really like the way it works, and I'm surprised I'd never tried it before. And so this is my third piece for it as of right now. As you can see, it started off in a gray and black spiral, more puff stitches. These are popcorn stitches. And down here are some, are those popcorns? Yeah. Down here are some popcorn stitches that I actually have separated by a front post stitch. Pretty cool. So I'm going to be working on this gradually whenever. I don't have a lot of pinks, but I guess I'll just work with them as they pop up. And if people ask for pink stuff and I have scraps left over, in with the rest of it they'll go. So there's that Freeform Crochet long slow burn planned process. Other thing, I think this is the last whip that I have right now. I think, yes. I haven't touched my his and hers outdoor sweater in the last week, so there's no point in showing you that because I haven't done anything with it, which is horrible. I'm on the last sleeve and I don't know, not feeling it right now. So whatever, it's sitting in the bag looking at me, judging me every day. So this is another knitting project, if you can't tell by the needles. This is going to be a dish towel with a hanger on the top of it. A friend of mine asked if I could make her a few knitted dish towels for her kitchen, and she showed me a picture of some of her decor, and it's all like earth tones and oranges. So I'm going to make one whole dishcloth that is with this color, and I'm going to add to the top of it this orange splash. Tangerine Splash, is that the name of it? Yeah, Tangerine Splash. It's a Premier Home cotton. So I'm going to put these two together. This is going to be for the loop across the top. And she also asked me to make her just a hanging loop to put a regular towel through that'll go over the hang bar on the front of the oven. And this pattern is super easy. I don't know if I can show you the picture without accidentally showing the pattern. I guess if I go like this. But this is a free pattern that was up on Craftsy, and of course it's in black and white, so you're not going to be able to see it very well. But I will link to that down in the description box if you're interested. Like I said, it's completely free. Can't go wrong with free patterns. But if you can see around the edge, it's got the little eyelets from doing yarn overs. I know it's probably kind of hard to see with that busy yarn, but it's going to have this row around the whole outside edge. Essentially, you just increase to 58 stitches, decrease back down to 4, pick up stitches along the top, go back and forth, then do your decreases for the loop, and that's pretty much all it is. Pretty easy. Like I said, free pattern. So that is it for whips, and I have some acquisitions, but they are not yarn, they are yarn adjacent, so I'm just going to show you those quick, and then I'm going to show you the yarn that I dyed a couple days ago. So, yarn adjacent acquisitions. I got 2 sets of these finishing needles. They are Susan Bates needles. They are completely open. I have not used them yet, but I have heard good things. They were very cheap add-ons on Amazon. They have them for all the different yarn weights, as opposed to me trying to scrunch and squash and fight with my normal yarn needles for when I work with the super bulky, like Bernat blanket yarns. Also got a set of T-pins. And isn't it great that the package came destroyed? I think that's fantastic. But these are for blocking. In line with blocking, rather than paying for the excessive amount of money for the specific knitting and crochet blocking boards, these things are pretty much the same. They just don't have the grid on them, the grid printed onto them. So I got one of these giant kid playmats. These blocks are 12 by 12, and there are, I think it said something like it ends up to be 16 or 24 square feet. I don't remember quite how many does it say on the front. 36 square feet because there are apparently 36 interlocking tiles with borders. I also got this on Amazon. It's about $20-ish, I think. 25, somewhere in that range. In line with blocking stuff and with working with Freeform Crochet, got a mini steamer. This is something that you plug in and it has a little reservoir for the water and you can steam for up to 10 solid minutes. Figure this will also be good for any of my husband's uniform stuff that he doesn't want to directly put an iron on, so it's multi-purpose. The regular price on this was 40 bucks, but this particular company had a coupon where once you put it through, it only ended up being $23 for your first purchase from them, so can't go wrong there. Yay, bargain hunting. Alright, last two things before we get to the yummy yarn. This is a quilter's cut and press. On one side it has the cutting board. On the other side it has a spot that is safe to iron on. So if I were, say, sitting at my desk rather than having to get up to iron stuff and wanted to work with my Freeform Crochet, I can do it all on here. This was kind of pricey. I actually looked at Joann's and it was a lot more expensive and you couldn't buy it from their website. You had to get it in the store. So I got it on Amazon. I'm not sure how much it costs, but I'll link to it in case anybody's interested in looking, because you never know when stuff on Amazon's going to go on sale. That, and the last thing. I have not opened this yet because it did just come today. And it is kind of heavy. So, I was complaining about not having a big enough ball winder because I've got the cheapo little one. I think it was like $15 when I got it. It still works for more than enough things, but rather than having to take even a ball of Red Heart Super Saver and halfway through it either cut the yarn, which I hate doing, or having to wind the rest of it by hand, which I have done before, finally got a big ball winder. This is a Stanwood Needlecraft ball winder, and it says that it will do up to a 10-ounce ball of yarn. Good stuff. This is one of the super fancy ones. I don't know if you'll be able to see the picture that well or not. I will try. But it's got the extra little yarn tensioner around it that actually makes it wrap faster, which I think is super cool. Excited about this. Alright, last thing. Yarn that I've dyed. By the time I get this edited and uploaded, these should be in my Etsy shop, so if anybody's interested, grab them while you can. If there are any of the yarn colors from my last batch that I showed that are gone now that you're interested in, I do still have some bare skeins of yarn, and I am willing to re-dye those same colorways if you need it in your life, so just let me know. Anyway, here we go with the other yarn. I got these done in one evening. I wanted to do more, but it was the night before Adam was going to be coming home, which he is home, by the way. Got home in one piece, despite lots and lots of fun training mishaps that I got to hear about. Home in one piece. That's all that matters. So, got all these done that night and realized that it was about 10 o'clock and I needed to go to sleep. And then the next morning, he actually called me at about 5 o'clock and they were supposed to be here at 7. And he said, hey, can you come give me a ride? I'm like, oh crap, I suppose. Had to get out of bed and get ready and go get him. Anyway, yarn. So, I did 2 skeins of Mermaider, which I really liked. I'm not a big purple person, but purple in conjunction with turquoise and green just gets me somehow. So I've got these 2. This one has chunks of red through it, and this one just has red speckles. But these are all on the same base because I just bought a big pack of Knit Picks Bare yarns. It's their Hawthorne yarn without any dye added to it. It's 80% fine Highland wool and 20% nylon. I think they call it polyamide, but it's the same thing as nylon. Whatever. So I've got these 2. And the other ones are kind of experiments because usually I hand paint on a flat surface just because it's easier for me. The results are more controllable, but these I actually kettle dyed and they are all speckled. So I only have one of this particular one right now, but I'm going to call this Stale Marshmallow Chicks. It is a yellow base and there are blue and bright pink speckles and stripes all throughout it. There's a good example of the actual speckles. There's quite a few in here. So obviously some of the pink turned more orangey than pink because it is over top of the yellow base, and some of the blues look more green than blue. But I really like the way this one turned out. And these are Stale Marshmallow Bunnies. There are 2 of them and they are also speckled. I can get it to focus on them. The base is kind of a light minty green, and then you've got all of these really pretty blue, yellow, and pink speckles, some of them fading into orange and green and purple because the colors mixed slightly, like here on the end. There you can see some of the pink and some more of the speckles. This one has a lot more of the blue and yellow through it. Like I said, these are all the same base. They're about 357 yards of fingering weight yarn, which is good for socks and shawls. And I should have these listed in my shop by the time this goes up, because I can just copy the other listing, take pictures, and repost it. Nice thing about doing things that are similar. So there's that, and that is really all I've got for this week. I say all. This is going to end up being about half an hour, and I thought it was going to be significantly shorter. But anyway. Oh, and something I forgot to mention about the Hangetsu Shawl is that I ended up using almost 2 whole balls, 200-gram balls of yarn. I haven't weighed what's left yet, but I want to say that it's maybe 20-ish grams, so looking at about 175 grams of DK weight yarn to get a shawl that's big enough to completely cover down to my elbows. And I'm a pretty tall lady, so if you're a more petite person, it would be huge on you. It's like a blanket. I guess that is all that I have for this week, and I managed to get through the whole thing without having to run to the bathroom and empty my stomach, so that is a super, super plus. I hope that you are all having an awesome Thursday or whatever day it is when you get to watch this, and I hope you all have a good weekend. So thank you so much everybody for watching, and I will catch you in the next video, probably be a Yarn Tales video this weekend. Probably. We'll see. Anyway, again, thank you so much for watching everybody, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.